Hey, you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Boost! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available 10,000 BC, the album. Well, Christmas 10,000 BC, the album. Dad, shimmy, shimmy, F. Rock on gold dust. You know what? I think I need a different song for today. What song should I sing for today? Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies, 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 yeah. Peace. How are you guys doing today? Oh my, happy Friday. Oh my, I just got back from a doctor's appointment. On my way home, I stopped and I got a big gulp. Why not? I haven't had one of these in so long. So go down, go down, go down. Do you guys remember when you were a kid? For those of you that did this when you were a kid, hold on, let me get the big gulp. Not sponsored. God, I wish. Oh my God, that might be one of my dream sponsorships to be. This video is sponsored by Big Gulp. I wish this video was sponsored by Big Gulp. Can you even imagine? But do you remember like sitting in the back seat of your car when your parents were driving when you were a kid and you go like this? And your parent and my dad would go, if you do that one more time, and I would be smacking my gum and blowing bubbles and stuff like that. But anyway, for those of you that wonder, because there's a lot of people that ask me all the time, they're like, what is a fountain pop? You constantly talk about you and Tanya Jean going to get fountain pops and stuff like that. This is a fountain pop, okay? Now this lid, this is not a typical fountain pop lid. This is more of like an icy, what are those called? I don't know what they're called, but anyway. What are those things called? Now I can't remember. I'll remember it later in the video, but it's where if they have like the Coca-Cola, they have like, what are those things called? The squeegees? Why can't I remember what those are called? But what you do is you put the lid on and then you squeeze it through here. But this is not a typical fountain pop lid, okay? This is a big gulp, okay? 44 ounces of absolute love. So let me tell you. So, I actually haven't had a fountain pop in quite a while. And I was watching the show, so I did full coverage, 2 videos over my Peter Watches TV channel. I don't know why, if you aren't watching that channel, I'm having so much fun over there. I'm covering all the TV shows over there, the reality shows, the true crime, the trending series. But anyway, so I finished watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. It's basically called Mormon Mean Girls is what they should call it. But anyway, I finished watching Mormon Mean Girls on Hulu. But one of the things they do, because they don't drink, well, they're not supposed to drink, but they do drink, some of them, okay? Because they're sinners! Sinners! And so anyway, she's not a Christian! So they go to these places, these soda fountain places, and one of them's called Swig. And so anyway, they go to these places called, like, soda fountain places. There's one called Swig. And they get these big fountain pops. Go down, go down, go down. Now, they don't get just regular ones. Like, this is a Diet Dr. Pepper. And yes, I know how unhealthy this is, okay? But once a month, I think I can have one of these. But they go in there, and they, know their exact order, okay? And they're like, I get 2 pumps of lime, 1 pump of coconut, 2 pumps of cola. They know, their exact order. I'm like, I want to have one of these soda machine places in our town. We just have, the gas station where you go in, you put your ice in the cup, okay? And then you put it underneath the fountain, and then the fountain pours it in. Then you put your cup on it and then your lid and all that, then this thing that won't go down. That's a fountain pop, okay? But I so bad want one of these fountain places. Well, I looked online, and I live in Indianapolis, and we're getting one of those swig places in Indianapolis. True story, I'm sure it's run by the Mormon Mean Girls. But I can't wait, okay? So I will be doing a full review. It says coming soon on their website. I cannot wait. So anyway, but I got me a little big gulp today. To do this raw video, I needed it, okay? I needed it to do this video today because I stayed up late last night. What did I watch last night? We watched Big Brother, and then, oh my God, my movie for Peter's movie club this week was Set It Off, and I always wait until the night before. So Fridays, today, I announced over my Peter Does Stuff channel, I announced a nostalgic movie from my past that I loved, and then I react to the movie that we watched from the week before. So last week's movie was Set It Off. I don't think I've seen that movie in, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. Oh my God, that movie is so sad. I forgot how sad. I mean, I knew it ended sad, but I didn't remember that Queen Latifah scene. If you guys have seen the movie Set It Off, first of all, probably one of the most fantastic, I just bit my tongue, probably one of the most fantastic soundtracks ever in the world. Oh my God, I forgot some of those Bone Thugs and Harmony songs that I loved back in the day, and that Brandy song, I'll Be Missing You. You guys, oh my God, I love that. So the soundtrack is fantastic to Set It Off, but that movie is so good. And so, you know, it's about the women that rob the banks and stuff like that. It's really a movie about, like, empowerment of black women is really what it is. It's such a fantastic movie. And so I watched that last night. And then I watched Sister Wives, because I'm trying to finish Sister Wives before season 19 comes out on Sunday, which, by the way, I'm also doing full coverage of that over on my Peter Watches TV channel as well. But then I started watching, because somebody sent it to me, Emily. Hey, Emily, how are you? She said, have you seen Into the Fire on Netflix? I'm like, I haven't even heard of Into the Fire. So I looked it up, and it's this 2-part true crime documentary series about this woman whose daughter goes missing. And I was like, what? I haven't heard of this. And it's only 2 parts. Well, each episode is like an hour and 18 or an hour and 20 minutes. So it's really, you know, it's like 2 episodes in one kind of thing. But anyway, I started watching it last night. It's about this woman who gave up her daughter for adoption, and then she finds out years later, because the police department contacts her for DNA testing, she finds out that her daughter went missing like 20 years before, and so she's like on this mission to find out. I mean, it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So I watched the first episode last night, then I was like, I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, I gotta go to bed. So I went to bed and got a good night's sleep and all that kind of stuff, and I also last night, I watched Raw Beauty Christie's Q&A that she put out, and then I also watched her microscope video over Jaclyn Hill cosmetic lipsticks from 5 years ago or something like that, because she told everybody in her Q&A that you should go back and watch that video. So I did go back and watch that video because I wanted to fact check, because the things that she seemed like she was saying in her Q&A, I was like, I don't know, Kristi. Like, I think you kind of were a little different in that video than you're presenting that you're saying now. So I've taken a lot of notes about this, and I have to be honest with you. I almost did not do this video today because I thought, you know what? I just, you know, people send me stuff all the time about Raw Beauty Christie now that I've made Raw Beauty Christie videos. People are sending me posts that she's liking. I mean, I literally, one day I woke up, I don't even know how people see this stuff, and it's like 10 people sent me like this post that she liked on Instagram that very much point to her ideological beliefs and things like that, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. I could make a whole other video about this, but it's like every time I make a video about Raw Beauty Christie, I get a lot of backlash from it. It's like, it's almost kind of not even worth it, you know? But then I was scrolling through this like recovery group that I'm in last night, and I saw this this like meme or whatever, and it says, sometimes you need to burn bridges to stop yourself from crossing them again. And I thought, you know what, it's interesting because I watched this lipstick video of Raw Beauty Christie's last night, and when I watched it, in all honesty, like, I started watching it, I was like, this is the Raw Beauty Christie that I miss. Like, I loved this Raw Beauty Christie. She was funny, she was fair, she was nice, and I liked her, right? And so I'm watching it, and I was like, she really is different today. Like, Raw Beauty Christie today in her videos is very, very different. Like, if you've watched her for as long as, I mean, I have, like, and I don't watch her consistently anymore at all, but, like, I used to watch a lot. I kind of forgot that I used to watch a lot of her videos back in the day. I shouted her out. I wanted her to get to 1 million subscribers when Shane Dawson didn't include her in his, you know, beauty, inside the beauty industry. I was like, I don't know why you're not reaching out to Raw Beauty Christie. I mean, I really had her back for years and years and years. I loved her commentary, and I felt like she was always, one of the things I loved about Kristi was that I felt like myself, but she does it on a much bigger level as a beauty influencer, that we both similarly were protective of the consumer, the audience, right? And so that was one of the things that I loved about Kristi, that, you know, she didn't want to really cross hairs with other influencers, but she wasn't afraid to do that at the same time, out of protection for her audience, out of protection for the consumer. And that was one of the things that I really, really respected about Kristi. So when I went back and I watched this lipstick microscope video last night, I was like, this is so interesting to me, because this is the Kristi that I really, really loved back in the day. I was like, what happened to this Kristi, you know? I mean, people have a lot of theories about why she changed and why she is the way that she is now, but I was like, she's drastically changed in 5 years. Like, drastically. I mean, she's not the same person at all in videos that she was 5 years ago. And I was like, you know, it's kind of sad. Like, I don't know, like, and it's not just her belief systems or whatever. I mean, she's lost a lot of her sparkle, too. It makes me kind of sad. I mean, she's talked a lot about, you know, some issues and things like that, but I don't think that that's all of it, because she does a lot of videos today, and I have watched bits and pieces of some of them where she seems very excited in her videos, but at the same time, there's kind of like a bitterness behind everything that she says or does anymore. I don't know. In fact, I watched this video last night, this Q&A, because I have been sent, so in reference to this thing that I was sent about sometimes you need to burn bridges to stop yourself from crossing them again, you know, I was thinking to myself last night, like, I'm still holding out hope for Kristi. And not just over this anti-LGBT thing, but it seems to me that Christie's going through some kind of like lost identification right now. Like she's trying to find herself a little bit. And maybe on the other side, when she finds herself, you know, I mean, that's maybe where I can pick up and I can be like, okay, well, I like this new Christie and she's gone through this. I mean, we all go through that. We all go through like finding ourselves and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I get it, right? I think it's when it's to the detriment of other people that like I start having an issue with it. And so last night when I saw this come up, I was like, is this a God thing right now that I'm supposed to be reading this? Because I don't know that I'm too afraid to burn this bridge. Like, I don't know that I ever want Christie, and I don't think she ever would, to reach out to me and ask me for suggestions or have, I mean, you know, she can send it in an email. She can send it in an email. Hey, Christie, you can send it. My email's listed underneath all my, but I don't know that I ever need to have that conversation again. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know that she really owes me an apology. I mean, it's not even really that. It's just like, I've kind of seen who she really is, and I don't really need to be I don't need to participate in that today. And like, that's really not just online, but that's like in my personal life as well. I have been asking myself that question for the last 10 to 15 years. Like, you know, are these people relationships that I want to participate in or not, you know? And that's something that I ask myself, you know, on a pretty regular basis about things. You know, and I sit back and I observe and I watch for a while and all that kind of stuff. So I started getting sent all these DMs about this Q&A that Robbie DeChristie did, okay? And I was like, you know, first of all, I got like the first DM and it said, I think I got like 20 or 30 DMs about this Robbie DeChristie thing. And people, the first one said something like, Robbie DeChristie did a Q&A. She probably didn't say much in it. I haven't watched it yet. I want to know what you think, right? And so the second one was like, Robbie DeChristie put out a Q&A. Do you think she'll address, I mean, nobody had watched it yet that was reaching out to me. So I was like, oh, this will be interesting. So she does this Q&A. I know she's not going to address anything about all the allegations. She's not. Like, if she was going to, she wouldn't, I don't think... I think her ego's so big that she's not going to come out and she's going to address it in 2 seconds of a, I mean, maybe she did and I missed it because I watched the whole video, but she's not going to address it in 2 seconds of a video where she's doing a Q&A, not even showing herself, but she's painting, okay? And so I go in there and I start watching this video, and the video is called Answering Your Questions While I Paint Q&A. It's from 2 days ago. It's sitting at 29,000 views. Okay. Now, I have had a few people in my comment sections when I say things like, Christie's career has taken a drastic, you know, like fall because of her not addressing the James Charles thing and now her not addressing this thing. Okay. I don't know what views you're looking at. She's getting drama channel views, okay, at this point. Like, she's getting low-level drama channel views at this point. 29,000 views in 2 days. Nobody's interested. I mean, this is a video that you would think that people would come to, right? Now, for a while, she was doing Vlogust, where she was vlogging every day for August, and she did like 10 out of 31 days, I think, or something like that. And in there, she did a couple things, but like, then she returned to makeup because even though she came out the first day of August and she said she didn't really want to do makeup content anymore because she's not really that interested in makeup content anymore, but she returned to makeup because number one, she gets the sponsorships through makeup, I believe. Number two, she knows that people are attracted. That's what got her the views and the subscribers was her makeup content, right? So she's even addressed this in her own videos years ago that if you completely switch up your content, people are going to stop watching you. And that's just, there's a lot of truth to that, right? And that's one of the reasons why people are like, well, why do you have so many channels? Well, I started like a TV channel because if people want to go over there just for the TV watching, then they can go over there and they can watch it, you know, instead of mixing it all in. Then it becomes very confusing on one channel. And yes, I know that I talk about TV on all of my channels. I love TV. I love watching TV. So I go in here and I watch this. So that's from 2 days ago. Her last video from 13 days ago is Holy SHI Toot. Full face testing e.l.f. Cosmetics. That got 90,000 views. The video before that is WTF, why? You sure are cussing a whole lot. That's 50 cents for the cuss jar, Christie, in just 2 videos. Oh my God. And watching her microscope video back, Christie shouts me out several times in that video. Several times. She even, the last thing she says in that video is about me. I couldn't believe it. In a good way. In a good way. And so she does, Holy SHI. Okay, then the next one was WTF, why? Testing melted electro lip paints or something like that, 45,000 views. And the one before that was cutting my own hair, 27,000 views. Then the one before that was doctor's visits, craft store shopping, dirt biking in the mountains. That was 25,000 views. Then the next one was living with PMDD. That was 30,000 views. The next one before that was get ready with me in chat, pressure canning class, and that was 30,000 views. And then she got Why You Only Watch Dramatic Negative Videos and Feel Like SHI Took. That one got 26,000 views. That was the one that I talked about last, I think. Quiet Morning Homesteading, 21,000 views. How to Grow a Clover Lawn, 19,000 views. And these videos are the ones that happened at the time that the allegations about the anti-LGBT rhetoric came out, okay? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go back and watch my last 2 videos, because I'm not going to go back and relive all that today. And then it's like the easiest homemade sandwich bread recipe, 36,000 views. And so then it goes in here, 25,000 views, blah, 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 whatever. Then if you go back and you look, it was before the anti-LGBTQ allegations came out, 95,000 views, 104,000 views, 68,000 views, 65,000 views, 107,000 views. Nobody's interested in her haircuts, because here's another haircut one, 36,000 views. Get Ready to Go on a Date with Me, 57,000 views. Huge 79, 74, 124, 110. You can't tell me that her channel is not suffering as a result of her not addressing these allegations. I don't believe it's that she feels this way or that she believes in this stance. I believe it's the fact that she's now not coming out and addressing it. And these are 2 major issues that she hasn't addressed, okay? Whatever her stances or belief system is, what she's communicating to her audience is, I don't care enough about you, and I don't think that these issues are important enough to address these issues, okay? That's what she's saying, you know? If it were something that like one person was talking about and that person was getting like 100 views, I can understand her not addressing it, right? But when I'm getting like hundreds upon hundreds of people reaching out to me saying my comments were deleted off of Kristi's videos, I've DM'd her, she blocked me, I've asked her to address these things. It's hundreds if not thousands of people that have directly asked Kristi, okay? It's not just one random person out of the blue that's asking her to address these things. If that were the case, I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't address it either. It's when a lot of people, I think probably 5 to 10 drama commentary channels have made consistent videos about it. There's been articles written about it, and Kristi, about the James Charles situation and about the anti-LGBT allegations. She hasn't addressed either one of them. These are major allegations, okay? These aren't just like, hey, like you did this or you did that or whatever. These are major issues that she hasn't come out and addressed. I don't know that I think it's necessarily her stance on it or that she did it. I think it's the fact, I think that's part of it. I think people are like, when they hear it, they're like, oh, I'm done, right? But the fact that she didn't even give herself the opportunity to come out and speak about it, that's the thing, right? Like, if she even, like, at all spoke to what it is. And what's interesting to me is that her response to this is kind of like in a video throwing up, like in every video now, she's talking about this wedding that she's hosting for her stepsister that's marrying another woman. And she throws it out kind of in every video. She threw out in this Q&A. And I think that's her way of saying, see, I'm hosting this same-sex wedding on my property. So therefore, I definitely couldn't be a bigot. I definitely don't hate LGBT people. And so I'm here to inform you as a gay man that's been out since I was 18 years old, and I've been with my husband for 16 years and married to my husband for 13 years. There are a lot of people within our own community, within our own LGBTQI plus community, and I know that my brothers and sisters out there within the community are nodding their heads when I say this. There are a lot of people within our own community that have a lot of self-hatred, have a lot of internalized homophobia, that do not like themselves, so that are completely against anything to do with our own community, that are really fighting our mission for human rights. There's a lot of people. Well, I wouldn't say tons. I wouldn't say it's the majority, but I'd say there's enough to make a difference. And it makes me sad. In all honesty, it makes me really, really sad. I just kind of like side-eye it, like I've had conversations with some of those people. It makes me sad, it makes me sad. I don't really understand it. So just you hosting a same-sex wedding on your property, in no way does it mean anything to me about the fact that you don't hold bigotry in your heart. That to me at all, period, in a story, right? And so that's a very simple way to come out and kind of address it. So people were sending me this video, not so much about that, but because she was talking about the microscope situation, okay? So she did this video. The video is 33 minutes and 41 seconds, called Answering Your Questions While I Paint Q&A. And it's literally her painting a picture of her Crystal Cathedral, her gay wedding chapel that she has in her backyard. That's what she's painting. It's interesting because she talks about like hiring a painting teacher, and I was like, Holy hell. Are you Mary from Sister Wives now? I mean, it was so interesting to me because, you know, she's homesteading. I was just watching Whitney on the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and she and her husband want to go home. They want to start homesteading, and they're devout, you know, Mormons. And then it's like all these people, like, they always go this route of, like, homesteading, which to me, to be honest with you, it's kind of attractive to build, like, this house out in the middle of nowhere. Except there seems to be, like, a certain ideological belief system that goes along with that I don't really understand, if you want to know the truth. I just kind of want to live in the woods and read cozy mysteries and drink tea and coffee, you know, and I don't know, and get scared watching scary movies. To me, it's not about, I don't know, survivalist camps or something like that, and, you know, same-sex marriage crystal cathedrals in your backyard. But girl, do you, all you want to do, okay? So I go in, and I took a lot of notes about this, first of all. So I go in and I watch this Q&A, first of all, right? Well, in the Q&A, she gets asked about the Jaclyn Hill microscope video that she did. Hold on a second. Let me see. I think it was 5 years ago. It's her second most popular video. It's sitting at 5 million views, and she did it 5 years ago. And the video is called The Truth About Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics Lipsticks, okay? So she says in this video, she goes in this Q&A, and she gets asked about, does she regret doing the Jaclyn Hill video, the cosmetics video with the lipsticks? Does she regret doing it? And she said in there, she says in there, go back and watch my microscope video. She goes, I wasn't mean. I was fair, and I blamed it on the lab. And I was like, I know I've watched that video more than once, and I don't remember that being your take. In fact, I, at the time, was getting accused of being rather snarky with Jaclyn Hill and making jokes, and people had an issue with me, and I was like, I kind of remember that Christie was kind of snarky about Jaclyn Hill as well, because I can remember that I was getting accused of that. Other people were getting accused of that, and I was like, I kind of remember that Robbie D. Christie was like that as well. So she goes in there and she says all this stuff about this video, and I'm like, well, this is your second most popular video with 5 million views. Not to mention that this is the video that helped push her over 1 million subscribers. I think that's really important to note, okay? This video that she did, which was basically, I mean, she says in there it was a viral video. She says in the Q&A it was like this viral video. I never expected that it was going to go viral and all this kind of stuff. And she goes in there and talks about, you know, like, I gained a lot of subscribers. I mean, she's pretty honest about that kind of stuff. But I remember this. I think people kind of think that we just, like, we don't remember really, like, the history. It's why one of the issues to drama commentary channels a lot is the rewriting of history, because we lived it and we remember it. We made videos on it. I remember these things probably better than the people that lived in it, sometimes because I did commentary on it. You know, I took notes on it. I have receipts of it. So I remember it a lot better sometimes than the people that lived it. And so I'm like, I don't remember you being super fair to her, but what I do remember is that this is the video that helped get you over 1 million subscribers. And why that's important is because this was a video that people really respected Christie over. Because in this video, she says over and over and over again, I feel sorry for Jaclyn. This is her launch. I feel bad for her. But hairy lipsticks. She says that. She says over and over again, I have to be protective of the consumer. I have to be protective of my audience, the consumer. She says that over and over and over again in the video. This was really the video that put her on the map of being protective of consumers. It was also the video that basically spoke to a lot of people that had never found Christie before, that said, this is somebody that is going to tell us the truth, okay? This is somebody that's going to tell us the truth about products, about the industry, and things like that. It completely changed the direction of the OG beauty influencer world. At that time, we were seeing a lot of these people that were, as she calls it, flying in PJs and wearing Gucci. She said that in her videos. That's a direct quote from Robbie D. Christie, okay? We were seeing a lot of that. We were seeing a lot of Jeffree Star, Toddy Westbrook, James Charles, Laura Lee, Manny MUA. They were doing a lot of brand trips. Christie did a brand trip too. I remember it. She got drunk and she was, you know, bucking while she was doing, she was bucking like a drag queen while she was doing some karaoke. I still got that receipt. But she went on that brand trip and things like that. And I really think that there's something about Christie to me that's very much of a pick-me. And I think that she really wanted to be part of that group. And for some reason, they never wanted her to be part of that group. I mean, in retrospect, Christie, you should be thankful. I mean, that would be the truth that I would tell. I would get in video and say, I wanted to be part of that group. I wanted people to respect me as much as they were respecting all these other people. I never got that respect. And they didn't invite me into that group. Well, the joke's on them now, right? because they look like a bunch of fools. But that's not the truth that you can tell. You still have to cater to their narrative. Christy still has to cater to their narrative and lie to her audience. She still has to do that. She tiptoes around these people. It's ridiculous to me. She won't come out and say their names. She alludes to them, like PJs and Gucci. We know who that is, okay? That's Jeffree Star. She's had a hate boner for Jeffree Star for years, okay? Whatever that's about. I don't know what that's about, okay? But she has, she has a lot of issues. In fact, she starts her microscope video, and she's like, so for those of you that didn't hear, I mean, she goes in this Q&A, and she says, I never really, Jaclyn Hill and I, we were good, blah, blah, blah. She says at the beginning of the video, Jaclyn and I, we had some issues, and she's like, and she does, this kind of, funny face, and then she shows this interchange where she called Jaclyn Hill a bitch or something like that. I'm like, immediately when I watched it, I had kind of forgotten that. I was like, girl, this kind of now feels a little bit like your gotcha moment with Jaclyn Hill because you never really liked Jaclyn Hill, okay? I mean, is this your gotcha moment, the microscope video? The microscope video is done very, very well. It's old school Raw Beauty Christie. Whether she pulled out that microscope or not, the authenticity that she showed in that video, and I didn't think she was mean. I thought she was honest. She looks back and sees it as mean. It was weird. So she gets asked if she regrets doing this video. Now, what I was saying was that this video was one that helped push her over 1 million subscribers, okay? Because it introduced a whole new audience to Raw Beauty Christie. That helped her get sponsorships. She got collaborations after that, which helped pay for her house, which helped pay for that Crystal Cathedral same-sex marriage chapel in her backyard. That's the thing that's helped. I mean, all of that this video changed the direction of Raw Beauty Christie. It made people look at her in a completely different way. This video is really, really an important video, okay? In the history and the career of Raw Beauty Christie. Not just because it's sitting at her second most popular video at 5 million views. That's not just why, right? But she goes on and talks about how she regrets doing it, that, Jaclyn Hill is coming out now in podcasts and talking about how it really affected her mental health, and she doesn't want to do anything that affects people's mental health, and at the end of the day, they were just lipsticks with some fuzzies on them. That's important to remember. She says they were just lipsticks with some fuzzies on them. It really wasn't that big of a deal. She doesn't want to contribute to somebody's the downfall of their mental health over something that she put out there. And I think that that's fantastic, Christy. I think that that's absolutely 100% fantastic, that you would not want to contribute to somebody else's downfall of their mental health. And I agree with you that they're probably, at the end of the day, just some lipsticks with some fuzzies. That's actually not what you said in your video. You used words like bothersome, horrific. You said that there was dirt, hairs. You said there are so many. I mean, I will go in there and quote your exact quotes because I wrote them down and I got them in my notes. You probably should go back, instead of telling your audience to go back and watch your video, which I did in full last night and took notes on, you should probably go back and watch your own video because you lied to your audience. You don't know what you actually said in your video, and you were actually rather snarky and rude to Jaclyn Hill. You said in your Q&A that you didn't blame it on Jaclyn Hill, you blamed it on the lab. I think you maybe made one reference to the lab in the entire video. The rest of it, what you did say in here was that you believe that, hold on a second, where is it at? You said something about that the real issue with the lipsticks was that you believed that they were old and that Jaclyn had them. You didn't say anything about a lab. You said they've been sitting there for a long time. You talked about how the lipsticks had JH on them for Jaclyn Hill, and she had been, instead of Jaclyn Cosmetics, okay? You talked about how they've been sitting there probably with caps off of them for over a year. You blamed them on Jaclyn Hill. You said, I know she's had a tough year, she's been going through a lot and whatever, but these are old lipsticks. They smell old. You even said that, okay? They look and they smell old. And I'll get to that in just a second. But now you're going back and you're saying that you blamed it on the lab. I heard you make one mention of the lab in the video and kind of just in reference. You said that if you were Jaclyn Hill, you would have called up the lab and said, get your shit together. That were your words. So you're indirectly blaming it on Jaclyn Hill. You didn't say it was the lab's fault. You don't say that anywhere, really, in your microscope video. And what you do say, though, is that Jaclyn Hill is now coming out and she's doing all these podcasts, and she's talking about what hell she went through at that time. Jaclyn Hill has been rewriting history since those lipsticks happened, okay? She's been rewriting history since those lipsticks happened. Period, end of story. She's jumped on one podcast and made jokes about him. She's jumped on another podcast. Her husband's jumped on podcasts and said if you knew the truth behind what really went down, they've never told the truth. You as a beauty insider knows that Jaclyn Cosmetics was never owned by Jaclyn Hill. That Forma Brands owned them. And you are still sitting there adding to the narrative that you feel bad for Jaclyn Hill because of what she went through in the lipsticks. She's never come out and really addressed the lipsticks. She said she hired 6 scientists to do lab studies on lipsticks, and she never came out and and talked about the lipsticks. Now, 5 years later, you're backpedaling, okay? And you don't care about your audience anymore. You're saying you care about Jaclyn Hill. Well, I'm glad that you care about Jaclyn Hill and her mental downfall, okay? Because I think that that's sad, too, that she went through that. Okay, you mentioned, about that, and you said that you feel bad about that. I wish you would take the same regard for people within the LGBT community, because there are a lot of people within the LGBTQIA plus community that are greatly, greatly affected by the agendas that you are part of that are being trying to pass in our country right now, that are afraid of our rights being taken away, okay? That are scared for our human rights, that are having to worry about, do we have to move out of this country? Are we going to be able to live back in the same home together, or will be sodomy laws passed out? But you don't feel the necessity to come out and address those things, okay? You don't feel the necessity to come out and say whether any of those allegations are true or if they're false, all right? You don't care about the hundreds of thousands of people that watch your videos that are part of those communities, or the people like myself that have supported you for years about our mental health in relation to those kinds of passing of laws. But you care about Jaclyn Hill and how she got upset over those lipsticks that she chose to put out, right? Okay, and you're helping her now rewrite a narrative that was never true to begin with. Isn't that correct? Because I have the notes and factual evidence. Since people say I don't want to bring factual evidence when it comes to Robbie D. Christie, I brought the factual evidence today. I watched both of the videos. I took notes. I hope you did too. It stopped right as I said that. So let's get into the rest of my notes, shall we? Okay. So she goes on here and she says, okay, that she keeps on talking about regretting making this video, and that she says in there that a group of subscribers expected her to be brutal and harsh. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now, girl, it's your now you're blaming your audience. It was your audience expecting you to be brutal and harsh. No, they were expecting you to be honest, okay? That was what they were expecting you to do. And in fact, going back and watching the video, I think that you have been more brutal and harsh talking about MLMs and other things than you've been. Do you care about them? You don't care about those people either? You're going to take down those videos? I mean, if you regret this video so much, Christy, take it down. If you regret this video so much that you said the word regret so many times in your videos. If you regret making this video so much, if I regretted making a video as much as you regret making this video, I'd take it down. Take it down. You've addressed it. Take it down. Okay? You've addressed it in the video. So it wouldn't be performative for you to take the video down at all, Take the video down. I mean, if you really feel that strongly about it, that's an easy solution to it. But to blame it on this group of subscribers, you say a group of subscribers expected you to be brutal and harsh. Okay, so now it's your subscribers' fault, right? And she says she felt really bad for Jaclyn Hill and that she can't imagine having this be her first launch for her new brand and it going this way. Well, in the video, you actually say other things. You go in there and you refer to the Becca Cosmetics release collaboration with Jaclyn Hill and how they had to pull those palettes because they were failed. You actually cite the Morphe palette with Jaclyn Hill and how they had to pull it because, so you said in there, you cited 2 failed launches with Jaclyn Hill. You said this wasn't her first. Now you're going back and you're saying her first launch, or her first launch of her new brand, but not her first launch because she had multiple failed launches before that, collaborations, which in your video you used as evidence to back up and use it as proof to come out against Jaclyn Hill. Go back and watch your video, Christy. I think you should. I think you should take notes the way that I did, okay? Because you obviously don't know what you said in your own video. And I don't blame you for that. I don't know what I say sometimes in my own videos, but I sure as hell wouldn't reference people back to old videos that I hadn't watched and knew what I said in. Especially a video that was my second most popular video, my most popular makeup video that was sitting at 5 million views that had garnered me a lot of attention, okay? So then you go on there and you say, you just happen to have your microscope. I mean, first of all, when you go back and watch this video, the fact that she happened to have this microscope sitting next to her, she's like, I just happen to have my microscope sitting next to me. When you watch the video, she mentioned several times at the beginning, I might pull out my microscope. She was ready when she started filming that video to pull out the microscope. There's no question about that, okay? She knew she was pulling out that microscope. She says in there 3 times before she does it, maybe I'll pull out my microscope. She knew she was going to pull out the microscope. Robbie D. Christie is somebody that scripts videos, edits videos, has everything setting inside of her. She shows a blooper reel at the end, and she's like, why do I keep on coming up orange? Why do I keep on coming up orange? I don't know. It seems to me like you probably like orange people. Why do you keep on coming up orange? Why do you keep on coming up orange? All that kind of, she's like, why am I looking up orange? She plans everything out so specifically in her videos that do I believe that that microscope was sitting in another room and she's like, oh, I gotta go grab it? No, girl, I don't believe that at all. You completely planned. So to just act like now, 5 years later, oh, I just happen to have the microscope sitting around there, girl, don't. You are acting like your audience is so stupid, okay? There's no reason for you to even lie about it. To just come out and say, yeah, I wanted to put those lipsticks under the microscope. I brought my microscope out. Everybody was saying that they were faulty. I wanted to see if they were, you know? But to come out and just act like, oh, it just happened to be sitting there, you know, on your bread making table. I mean, girl, give me a break. And then she goes back and she's like, yeah, I do. I mean, she keeps on saying how bad she feels. She does feel bad. She doesn't look back on it and feel good about it at all, you know? And I'm like, but do you think about the consumer? Like, what do you think about the consumer in all of this? Because you are protecting the consumer, you know? And she said she wouldn't make the video today. She said, in retrospect, she wouldn't make the video today. I'm like, if you wouldn't make the video today, then go back and take the video down if you feel as strongly about it. She says she feels guilty that it caused issues with Jaclyn, okay? And that she hopes that her video wasn't the catalyst for Jaclyn Hill's downfall, okay? Well, girl, you weren't the catalyst. You aren't that important, okay? And I'm not that important. And nobody's really that important in the grand scheme of things. But definitely that one video sitting at 5 million views is not what set off the catalyst. Her lipsticks were the catalyst. Her coming out and releasing faulty lipsticks with a brand that she didn't even own at the time, that we didn't even know, and her lying about that, that was the catalyst. Jaclyn Hill lying. Now you're backing her up. You're backpedaling and you're backing her up, right? And then she goes in there and she said, and I'm like, you're not looking out for your consumer and your audience at all right now, Kristi. Like, this moment, this is where you're losing me, okay? You are not looking out for your audience or the consumer at all. You are now, again, looking for, this is the pick-me moment, right? For Jaclyn Hill, okay. She goes in there and says that the statements in her video, she says, were 100% true and that the fuzzies were there, but she doesn't feel good about the outcome, okay? Now, she says the fuzzies were there. Just remember that word when I say that, okay? The fuzzies. Then she goes in and she talks about Jaclyn Hill, talking about her addiction issues and stuff, because Jaclyn Hill apparently has come out and said, and I haven't watched the podcast, so I don't know, but has apparently come out and said that, you know, she had a lot of mental health issues and addiction issues. And I have never heard Jaclyn Hill, she says in the video something about alcoholism or addiction. I've never heard of Jaclyn define herself as an alcoholic or an addict. If she does, I have not heard that, so I don't know, all right? But she goes in here and talks about she's contributing to blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so as an alcoholic and an addict that has been sober for 29 and a half years, I want to make this very, 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 very clear, okay? To Kristi, if she's watching this, which I'm sure she is, and to everybody else, okay? Nobody is responsible for my sobriety, and nobody is responsible if I get drunk again or use drugs again. Nobody. That is on me. Okay? Nobody drives me to that point. Nobody is responsible for me on any of that, okay? There's a saying we say in recovery, okay? I can't get somebody drunk and I can't get them sober. I am not that powerful, okay? Kristi, I think it's, honestly, I think you meant it to come across as rather sweet. Like, I feel bad that this video might have pushed her in this dark depression, but you really aren't that important in the grand scheme of things, Kristi. You just aren't. None of us are, okay? That one video that you put out there would do that. You know, like, yes, did it maybe contribute to things? Because it was a catalyst for other people making videos and using your pictures and stuff like that? Yeah, 100% it probably was. But was it the whole thing? No, you're taking responsibility away from Jaclyn Hill, a lesson she needed to learn, you know? You're taking that responsibility away from Jaclyn Hill. So anyway, and then she says at the end of the day, they're just lipsticks and she doesn't deserve all that. I agree, she doesn't, okay? But you got to remember, the reason why Jaclyn Hill got what she got was not because of the lipsticks, okay? It was because of the things that she said. She waited a very long time to come out and address it. Then when she did come out and address it, she said things that weren't true. Now we know in retrospect when she was my company, we know it was Forma's company. She was lying in her video addressing the lipsticks. She said she was going to hire 6 scientists. We've never seen any results from those 6 scientists, okay? She later came out cutting a Chanel purse and made jokes and said, oh, those are the fuzzies from the lipstick. She's made multiple jokes about the lipsticks, okay? But then when she wants to cry a river about it and say the lipsticks led to her not being interested in makeup anymore, then she can use it as an excuse. Jaclyn Hill, like, apparently owns full rights over who can talk about what they want to talk about with the lipsticks when she released those lipsticks to make a lot of money off of it. You yourself in your video said it cost you like $399 to purchase them, okay? Actually, what you said in your video was that you had to wait in line, like so many other people, to purchase them online because you weren't on the PR list, okay? Then when you tweeted out that you had to wait so long in line, Jaclyn responded and said, well, girl, you should have got those because you were on the PR list, okay? And then you're like, oh, and then she DM'd you, and then all of a sudden the PR box showed up 3 days later because it was FedEx to you. But what you didn't realize, girl, in that moment, or you were trying to play nice because you were a pick-me girl with Jaclyn Hill, okay? And you still are, is that everybody else had received their PR, and I went back and looked. Everybody had already received their Jaclyn Hill PR days ahead of time. You said that was the reason in your video why people receive PR ahead of time so they can get their reviews ready. They already had, you know? Patrick Starr had already torn her apart in a TikTok. Girl, we made videos about that, okay? Just because you don't remember that because she shined you on and said, oh, girl, you're on the PR list. Shane Dawson tried that shit with me, too. Oh, what? You're on the PR list, girl. Somebody must have stolen it off your front porch. I'm not that stupid, okay? I don't know, Kristi. Maybe you are. I didn't think you were, okay? But when somebody tells you, oh, girl, I don't know why you got it. You're on the PR list. What that means is you are not on the PR list, but so this doesn't cause me a lot of PR madness. I'm going to add you real quick and send you one of our leftover PR boxes. That's the truth, Kristi, okay? So you were not on the PR list because you done pissed Jaclyn Hill off, and probably rightfully so by telling some truths on her, okay? So anyway, she says at the end of the day, they're just lipsticks and she doesn't deserve all that. And she says she refunded everybody the money. And it's like, I love how she's talking as a beauty influencer with knowledge like Jaclyn actually owned Jaclyn Cosmetics. Now, girl, you know at this point, you in your videos have cited Jen Loves Reviews. You've cited, you know, me in there. I've covered all this stuff. Jen has covered all this stuff. Many people have covered the fact that Jaclyn Hill never owned Jaclyn Cosmetics, that Forma brand did. Actually, Jen, who you mentioned quite a bit in your microscope video, she came out with full documentation court records showing that Jaclyn was never any kind of owner or any operating manager or anything with Jaclyn Cosmetics. And yet in this video, you continue to mislead your audience by saying you felt bad for her because of, you know, these lipsticks that she released and things like that, right? I mean, at least be honest with your audience about some of this stuff. You know, and it wasn't just necessarily the lipsticks. It wasn't about the lipsticks. It was about the handling of the situation and how piss poor Jaclyn Hill handled it and how she lied to your audience through the entire thing, right? Like, I think that's the thing that people want to forget about that. It's the fact that Jaclyn Hill never came out and addressed it appropriately. And then when she did, she continued to lie to her audience. And then she would, you know, say this, and then she'd joke about it. And then people are like, oh, can we joke about it now? And then somebody would joke about it, and then she'd be crying in another video about it. Like, oh, this isn't funny to me. This is why I don't love makeup. And then 2 days later, she's doing a makeup video. And she's in love with makeup again. And then she's making a joke about the fuzzies and the lipsticks. Now she's in a podcast crying about the fuzzies and the lipsticks and how it took her down. Girl, pick it. Pick where you feel like you are in this situation, but don't dictate to us how we can feel about it, you know? And it's just like, Robbie Christie is adding to Jaclyn Hill, changing the narrative over what happened because you feel bad because you contributed to that narrative. What you could just say is, I feel bad I made the video, I contributed to the negative narrative. Everything I said in the video was true. But in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have made the video because I feel bad because I want Jaclyn Hill to like me. Because that's the truth, okay? That's what this video is all about. It's just such BS. So then she says in there, she doesn't want to be start, you know, of somebody else's mental health declining. And I'm like, girl, all right, seriously, like, you won't even address, okay, your support of James Charles, who had predators. Do you not care about them and their mental health? Do you not care about your entire audience or anybody in the LGBTQI plus community who you're completely still, and since I made my video, just in the last week was I sent a receipt of Robbie Christie liking a post, okay, of somebody that is completely supportive of anti-LGBTQI plus rights. And I was like, I am not going to be the gatekeeper of coming out and making a video every time Christie likes a post. And I went and fact-checked and you did like the post, Christie, okay? So you're continuing to like. So when people want to say to me, Christie does not, and whoever sent, there was like 3 or 4 people that sent that one to me. If you want to sound off who it was in the comment section below, feel free to do that. I'm not going to say it in a video. But for everybody that keeps on saying to me, there's no proof of this. Where are people getting this idea that Christie is saying that she's going to build this school? Christie said she was building this school. Okay? Christie has said all these things. All the information comes from Christie. All the information comes from Christie liking fucking wrong pictures. Girl, I'm sorry. Maybe stay off of Instagram, because you apparently, your excuse is always, I didn't know I liked a picture. But you're still to this day liking pictures that are problematic, okay? Supporting anti-LGBTQI plus rights, and I take an issue with that. And you won't come out and address it. But you don't give a shit about our mental health declining, right? At all. When we're worried about our marriages being dissolved, about our human rights being dissolved, about sodomy laws being put back into place, about women not having rights in this country, you're a woman. You should care about that, okay? We're really worried about these things, but you don't care about the mental decline of that, but you care about the mental decline of Jaclyn Hill over the lipstick video. Girl, please ask me to care. Please ask me to care, because I just don't, okay? Then you go on and you talk about the video about the Jaclyn Hill cosmetics, right? So I go in and I'm like, I'm going to give her fairness, because maybe she didn't say anything about Jaclyn Hill. Well, first of all, when you start it, okay, she goes in there and she says, I was never mean to Jaclyn. I was really fair to Jaclyn. In fact, I blamed the labs. That's what she says in her newest video, the Q&A. I go in, and the video starts, actually, if you start the video, it's her second, you can go into her channel, you can go look on the popular videos, it's the second most popular video. And it starts off with a parody of a news story reporter, okay? And I'm like, oh, this is interesting to me, because this is a nod to Rich Lux. Because at that time, okay, when Dramageddon was going on before that, Rich Lux was doing these news reporting things. And he was like, 911 drama brought to you. It was like news, they were news stories. That's exactly what she does. She is watching us drama commentary channels at this time very, very closely. In fact, she says it in the video, that she's watched all the drama commentary videos. She's watched all the reviews of the makeup. She shouts me out like 2 or 3 times in this video. In fact, she ends the video saying, the final thing she says is, just full on drama channel, just full Peter. Love you, Peter. That's how the video ends, okay? She also includes halfway through there a picture of me going, beast, and she says drama channel, like, says something about me in there. She says my name. She's watching us so closely. This thing that she does at the beginning of it is a parody of Rich Lux doing a parody of a news station. And it's like this news station of bringing to you the drama, blah, 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 of Jaclyn Hill, right? So then she goes in there, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting, because you knew what you were doing. This was a highly prepared, edited video. You knew what you were doing. She laughs at the beginning of the video, talking about the drama being eventful, and she's like, laughs, right? Then she talks about her negative interaction with her. This is all within 3 minutes of the video. And she's like, yikes, you know, like negative interaction with her, blah, 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 whatever. And she shows the clip. She comes right out of the gate making fun of Jaclyn Hill. So for you to say that you never, I don't know. Apparently we can't shade anybody today. So this microscope video is full. I mean, she's shading the hell out of Jaclyn Hill in this video. You can't watch that video and tell me she's not. Go back and watch the video, okay? So then she goes in there and talks about how she purchased the videos. And she says, I noticed so many, so she goes in there and talks about Manny and MUA doing this video called Purchase versus PR. And the difference of whether you, like in PR, you receive something different than in a purchased, like, makeup. And she's like, I think it's interesting because, is it true, right? So she purchases all the lipsticks because she's not in the PR. Then she gets the PR later, okay? So she has both the purchase lipsticks and the PR. With the purchase lipstick, she says, I noticed so many issues. Now, remember in the past, in her newest video, she calls them some fuzzies. That's what she said. Well, there were some fuzzies on the lipstick. This is what she had to say in her lipstick video 5 years ago. I noticed so many issues. I was immediately shocked. Some of these lipsticks are full of hair, lint, fuzz, holes, lots of holes, air bubbles. Some of them are so bothersome that I don't even want to apply them, okay? So they're not just fuzzies, Christy, right? Not just fuzzies like you're saying now. Like Jaclyn says. Jaclyn refers to them as just fuzzies. Actually, in your video, you show a video that somebody else lets you show where she pulls an entirely, like a black hair that long out of the inside of the lipstick. You show that in your video. You show a tube of lipstick at the end of it that has massive amounts of hair on it, okay? Not just fuzzies, dark hairs, okay? You go in there and you compare them to MAC lipsticks. You go in there and compare them to other kinds of lipsticks to show that this is not normal, okay? So they're not just fuzzies. You're going back and you're rewriting history now because Jaclyn Hill calls them just fuzzies. They're not. In fact, you end the video calling them hairy lipsticks is what you call them, okay? When I've gotten so much shit over calling them hairy lipsticks, but you actually were the one that coined the phrase, right? Okay. So then you go in there and you talk about the Becca and the Morphe releases and how they had to pull products on 2 failed launches because of quality control. Now, this would have been your issue to come out and talk about the labs, but you don't. You indirectly blame Jaclyn Hill in this part of it, right? Then you go on and you talk about the Jaclyn Hill logo on the lipsticks and that it's, you know, she's gone through a lot, you know, like she got all this kind of stuff, that her name is different now, she's gotten divorced, and it's Jaclyn Cosmetics, it's not Jaclyn Hill Makeup or Cosmetics or whatever. And that you say in there, and it shows in bold print on your video that your theory is that the lipsticks are old, okay? You don't say anything about the lab in there, girl. Okay, you say that Jaclyn Hill had a lot going on in her life. And she probably thought, am I going to take a massive loss or am I going to release these old lipsticks? Okay, and so she decides that she's just going to use the same lipsticks. You say the smell and the quality control is poor at best. You completely blame Jaclyn Hill in this moment. You don't say really anything about the lab, okay? Then you go on to say there's lots of fuzzies in hair. There's chunks out of a lot of them. And a lot of them are just less than perfect, is what you say, of the purchased ones, okay? The PR is not a lot better, but it is better, right? Then you go on to say, you do say something about the lab, but you say that you would call the lab if you were Jaclyn and you would say, get your shit together, especially if you had had failed launches before. And then you say, unless it drives sales, insinuating that this, with Jaclyn Hill, is driving sales to Jaclyn Cosmetics. You insinuate that, okay? When for years, drama channels have had to take the fall because we have insinuated that drama drives sales. But here you are, Kristi, in your second most viewed video, most popular makeup video, insinuating that the possibility is Jaclyn Hill released these old lipsticks to drive drama, to drive sales. What's that about the lab? Now, in your most recent video, you said you blamed the lab. You didn't blame Jaclyn Hill. You are directly blaming Jaclyn Hill. You're saying Jaclyn Hill might have released these year-old lipsticks to save her ass some money and also drive sales because of the drama about it. You said that, girl, in your own video that you directed me to go watch. Then you go on there and you say you're mortified. This is just covered in hair. There is hair all over the bottom of it. You say effing gross. Your words, okay? Not just some fuzzies, effing gross. You do say that you feel bad for Jaclyn, but that you won't even use the purchased ones. You'll only use the PR ones to go through and show the shade range and things like that. So you have to remember that your audience and the consumer, they're not getting PR, Kristi, like you did when you got on Twitter and complained about it and she sent you the PR package. They're buying the ones that you purchased as well. The ones that you won't put those on your lips. The consumers that you're not protective of today, okay? But you were back then. This is part of the issue, probably, Kristi, why your views are going down and you are losing subscribers, because you're pandering to the wrong people. Okay, when you should be caring about your audience and the consumer, because that's who you cared about back then. And that was actually a more likable Kristi. And I don't really, to be honest with you, think that Jaclyn Hill gives a shit what you think about her, if you want to know the truth, okay? I don't think that she thinks the sun sets on Raw Beauty Kristi. So why you give a shit so much about what she thinks about you is beyond me, okay? I can tell you she's not really issuing a lot of apologies to you or thinking about you a whole lot. So then she goes in here and she says that she feels bad for Jaclyn, but then she won't use the purchased ones. But all your audience has to use the purchased ones because those are the only ones that they can buy, right? But you go ahead and use the PR package. She then said, am I a drama channel now? And then she showed a picture of me with my fan and she says, beast. Oh my God, my tripod fell. Okay. So then she goes in to say at the very end of it, that had she gotten the PR instead of purchasing them, her review would have gone a lot differently, okay? Indirectly blaming Jaclyn Hill not for sending her the PR to begin with, because had she received the PR, I mean, she says it very nicely, like, yeah, like, I mean, this is why you do send out PR, because if I got the PR, then I wouldn't have had to buy them, then I wouldn't have the purchased lipsticks to review, but since I do have the purchased lipsticks to review, then I'm going to put them underneath my microscope that I just happen to have sitting over here on my bread making table, right? So it's kind of like, I'm sorry, Jaclyn, that I had to come for you. I mean, this has always been the thing with Kristi, right? Like, I don't want to come for anybody, but I kind of have to, because you didn't send me the PR. Kind of like indirectly, like, y'all better put me on your PR list next time, or you're going to be under the microscope, is kind of what it is, right? It was interesting to me, that take on it. So she goes in there and I'm like, yeah, but you didn't get the PR until after you tweeted out about it, right? So you didn't receive them because you were on the PR list. You received them because you said that there were issues with the website, which was probably a signal to Jaclyn that, oh my God, she's buying these lipsticks, and if there's anything wrong with them, she's already pissed that she didn't get the PR. I better send the PR. And then she reached out to DMs. She apologized for the hairs and the things and whatever, you know, all that kind of stuff. She gave you more, Kristi, after you came out with that video, which is probably why you feel bad. But in all honesty, as a honest makeup reviewer that built your career being a makeup reviewer, maybe you don't want to be that anymore today, okay? You've just done 2 makeup videos, as I proved to your audience in the last couple weeks, but maybe you don't want to be a makeup reviewer anymore, which is what you built your channel, and that's fine. Change your channel, okay, if you want to. But to your audience, doing an authentic, honest review, okay, they're not getting personal DMs from Jaclyn Hill apologizing for the lipsticks. They're getting, 5 years later, a lot of excuses and a lot of backpedaling and a lot of lack of explanation and a lot of lies, even so far as for her to continue to say her company when we know that she didn't own that company, that Forma Brands did, and you're playing into that narrative, and that's pretty dangerous. But I do appreciate the shout out that you gave me at the end of the video, you know? It makes me kind of sad in retrospect because I thought you were the real deal. You know, watching this video back made me really realize that Robbie Christie has changed in a lot of ways. You know, she, back in the day, didn't, like, she was very, very worried about talking about these influencers, but she wasn't afraid to come out and be honest. In fact, she even says this in her video. She says, I didn't want to make this video. I don't want to make this video. She was like, she even, like, in the bloopers, she shows that. Like, I don't want to post this video. I don't want to post this video. She's like, but I have to, for the audience and for the consumer. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing that's changed, Kristi, from 5 years ago today, and not just with your stance on makeup, but with your stance on everything, is that you used to really seem to care about your audience and your consumer, and today you just don't seem to care that much about them. And I think that that's really evident in a lot of what you do. And I think that the comments that you keep up on your channel that are singing your praises are the dire few that are continuing to stay over there. And I would really, instead of pandering to Jaclyn Hill, I would pander to that audience over there that has remained with you through all of this, because those are the ride or die fans that are going to probably stay through everything, because the rest of them have mostly checked out at this point, because what they realized is you don't really care enough about them. And that's kind of a sad reality, as, to be honest with you, the woman that grew her channel because you really seem to be like the voice of the people, that people really related to you because you just seem to be like this woman that loved makeup, knew a lot about makeup, and were giving honest reviews. And here we are. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.